Your motivation is more about your environment than your personal discipline. I used to think motivation was all about willpower. If I couldn't stick with something, it was because I wasn't trying hard enough. But then I noticed something weird. Whenever I visited my friend James, I'd suddenly feel like working on my projects. At home, I'd struggle to focus for 30 minutes, but at his place, I'd happily work for hours. What was going on? Our environment shapes our motivation profoundly. The quiet hum of activity, the gentle light filtering through windows, even the subtle scent of coffee in a workspace. These elements affect who we believe we are and what actions feel natural. We usually blame ourselves when motivation disappears. I'm just lazy. I don't have enough discipline. I need to try harder. But what if the real problem isn't you but your surroundings? I saw this with Emma, who struggled for years to establish a consistent workout routine. She tried everything, new programs, workout buddies, even hiring a trainer. Nothing stuck. When we looked closer at her environment, we discovered the issue. Her apartment constantly filled with the aroma of takeout food, the soft glow of the TV beckoning each evening. Her roommates' habits created an invisible barrier to her fitness goals, making exercise feel like swimming against a current. This happens because we're hardwired to mirror the people around us. Studies show we unconsciously adopt the identities, habits, and motivation levels of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Your brain constantly picks up cues from others about what's normal and what kind of person you should be. Think about your 5 closest friends or family members. How do they approach their goals? Do they talk about dreams but never take action? Do they stick with things or quit when it gets hard? Their patterns likely appear in your life too. When Alex started hanging out with a group of friends who ran regularly, something transformed. He initially joined just for social connection, the easy laughter after work, the camaraderie over weekend brunches. But after a few months, he found himself thinking about running. Soon he bought running shoes, and within 6 months, he was running 3 times a week. The rhythmic pounding of feet on pavement became part of his identity, shaped by his social circle. Your physical space matters equally. Environment design can increase motivated behavior by up to 300% without requiring extra willpower. Friction. Anything that makes a behavior harder to do works like trying to run with weights tied to your ankles. Even small environmental barriers completely block motivation. I experienced this with my reading habit. For years, I kept saying I wanted to read more, but never did. Then I made one simple change. I put a book on my pillow each morning. Having to move the book when I went to bed meant I'd at least look at it. This tiny reduction in friction led to me reading almost every night, the weight of the book in my hands becoming a comforting evening ritual. You can design your environment to support your motivated identity. If you want to be a writer, create a dedicated writing space where your desk feels inviting, perhaps near a window with natural light that energizes your creativity. If you want to be more active, keep your workout clothes visible and ready. If you want to eat healthier, put fruits and vegetables at eye level in your fridge, their vibrant colors calling to you each time you open the door. Your social environment might need adjusting too. This doesn't mean abandoning friends, but being intentional about who you spend time with. Can you connect more often with people who embody the identity you want to build? Maria wanted to become more creative but found herself stuck. When she joined a weekly art group, everything changed. Being around people who saw themselves as creative made it easier for me to see myself that way too, she told me, her eyes bright with newfound confidence. The sound of pencils scratching on paper, the shared excitement when someone tried a new technique, it all made creativity feel like home. Now I don't question if I'm creative enough. I just create because that's what we do. The physical spaces you inhabit send powerful signals about who you are. Look around your current space. What identity does it support? Is it aligned with who you want to become? Tyler wanted to become more mindful but struggled to remember to meditate. He created a small meditation corner in his bedroom with a cushion and a candle. Just seeing this space each morning, the cushion waiting patiently, the soft scent of the unlit candle, it all reminded me of my commitment to mindfulness, he explained. Within weeks, sitting there for a few minutes each day became automatic. Your environment secretly influences your motivation. By intentionally designing your social and physical spaces to support your desired identity, you can make motivation feel effortless. This means making strategic changes that reduce friction for desired behaviors and create spaces that welcome your ideal self. But what happens when motivation inevitably dips? Let me show you how to handle that. The 2-day rule. Handling motivation dips. Even the most motivated people have off days. No matter how strong your identity is, your motivation will naturally go up and down. This is something I had to learn the hard way. I remember when I first started running. I built this identity as a runner, and for a few weeks, everything was great. I was getting out there consistently, feeling good about myself. Then one morning, I just didn't feel like running. At all. The thought of putting on my shoes felt impossible. So I didn't run that day. Then I didn't run the next day either, or the next. Before I knew it, 2 weeks had passed, and I was back to thinking, I guess I'm not really a runner after all. This is where most motivation strategies fall apart. They don't account for these natural ups and downs. They assume you'll feel motivated all the time, or that you just need to push through when you don't feel like it. But that's not how our brains actually work. The 2-day rule is a simple solution. Never miss your identity-aligned actions for more than 2 days in a row. 1 day off is fine. 2 days off in a row serves as your warning sign. 3 days off is where temporary dips transform into permanent crashes. I learned this from Michael, who's been working out consistently for over 15 years. I used to think I needed to exercise every single day to maintain my identity as an active person, he told me, but that approach led to burnout. Now I follow the 2-day rule. If I miss a day, no big deal. If I miss 2 days, that's my signal that I need to do something on day 3, no matter what. When you feel the motivation dip coming on, remember, a small step today prevents a crash tomorrow. The rule works because it prevents temporary motivation dips from becoming identity shifts. Your identity forms through consistent actions over time. When you miss 1 day, it barely affects how you see yourself. But after several consecutive missed days, your brain questions your identity. Am I really a writer if I haven't written in a week? Am I really committed to healthy eating if I've been ordering takeout for 5 days straight? These doubts about your identity further decrease motivation. Studies show a psychological difference between a single miss and a streak break in habit formation. Missing once has minimal impact on habit development, but breaking a streak by missing multiple days can set you back significantly. One study found that missing 3 or more consecutive days reduced the chance of establishing a habit by over 30%. Sarah experienced this while building a meditation practice. I used to have an all-or-nothing approach. She said, if I missed a day, I'd feel like I failed and often give up entirely. Now with the 2-day rule, I don't beat myself up. I just make sure I don't miss the next day too. The relief in her voice was palpable. She finally had a system that accommodated real life. When motivation dips, but you need to maintain your streak, use a minimum viable action. Ask yourself, what's the smallest version of this behavior that still counts? If you normally run 3 miles, but don't feel like running, your minimum viable action might be walking around the block. If you're building a writing habit, it could be writing just 1 paragraph instead of 3 pages. These minimum actions still count toward maintaining your identity. You're still a runner if you walk for 5 minutes. You're still a writer if you write 2 sentences. Alex applies this with his guitar practice. I commit to playing guitar daily. But some days I lack motivation for a full session, he told me. On those days, I just play for 5 minutes. Sometimes that's all I do, but often once I start, I end up playing longer. Either way, I've maintained my identity as a guitarist. This approach creates sustainable, long-term motivation. You build in flexibility that accounts for the natural ebbs and flows of motivation, rather than falling into all-or-nothing thinking. Rachel discovered this empowerment when building her writing habit. During a motivation dip 2 months in, she applied the 2-day rule. Instead of abandoning writing until inspiration returned, I wrote something, even just a paragraph, at least every 3rd day. That kept my writer identity intact until my motivation naturally returned a week later. The 2-day rule takes the pressure off. You don't need perfect consistency or constant motivation. You simply prevent long streaks of inaction that might shift your identity in the wrong direction. So next time you're not feeling motivated, remember, it's completely normal. Don't beat yourself up. Just make sure you don't go more than 2 days without taking some action, however small, that aligns with your desired identity. Let's pull everything together into a simple action plan you can start today. Your 7-day motivated identity plan. Let's take everything we've talked about and put it into action. I want to give you a simple 7-day plan that builds your motivated identity step by step. This isn't about changing your entire life overnight. That never works. It's about making targeted changes that create real results fast. Most people try to transform everything at once. They decide to work out every day, completely change their diet, wake up at 5 a.m., and start a side business all at the same time. That approach almost always fails. It's simply too much change at once. This 7-day plan focuses on one thing at a time, building each element of your motivated identity day by day. By the end of the week, you'll have a complete system that makes motivation feel natural rather than forced. Here's what you'll do each day. Day 1, identity reflection, 15 minutes. Define who you want to become, not just what you want to do. Example, I am an active person, instead of, I want to exercise more. Like planting a seed, Sarah defined herself as a person who expresses creativity daily, rather than just having a vague goal about creativity. Day 2, select small actions. Choose one tiny action, under 5 minutes, that expresses your new identity. For a reading identity, reading 1 page. For fitness, a 5-minute walk. Think of it as lighting a small match that will eventually build a fire. Mike chose watching just one educational video daily to build his learning identity. It seemed too easy, he told me, but that's why it worked. Day 3, adjust your environment. Make one physical change to your space that supports your identity. Make one social environment change that reinforces who you're becoming. Like a gardener preparing soil, Lisa created a meditation corner in her bedroom and joined a text group where friends check in after meditating, making her practice more consistent. Day 4, shift your language. Identify 3 phrases you commonly use that undermine your identity. Replace them with identity-affirming alternatives. Words shape reality. Carlos replaced, I need to get more organized with, I'm a productive person who values organization, making organizing feel like an expression of his identity. Day 5, create your tracking system. Establish a simple way to track your daily identity-aligned actions. Could be X's on a calendar or a habit tracking app. Like creating a map of your journey, Rachel set up a small calendar by her desk to track daily writing. Seeing those X's add up was so satisfying, she said. After a week, I already had visible proof. Day 6, define your minimum viable action. Determine the smallest version of your behavior that still counts. This becomes your backup plan for low motivation days. It's your safety net. Alex was building a musical identity with 30-minute practice sessions, but his minimum was playing just one song. Having this minimum made it so I never broke my streak, he explained. Day 7, review and plan next steps. Reflect on what worked well and what needs adjustment. Set up week 2, possibly adding a second small identity action. This is your navigation check. Jana celebrated her 5 meditation days and adjusted her plan. I realized morning meditation worked better than evening, so I adjusted my schedule and added taking 3 mindful breaths before each meal. What makes this plan effective is its step-by-step approach to building your motivated identity system. Each day addresses a different element, from defining your identity to preparing for motivation dips. The plan works for any motivation goal: fitness, creativity, productivity, or mindfulness. It addresses both psychological aspects, identity and language, and practical elements, actions and environment. People experience noticeable changes within just 1 week. Their identity-aligned actions feel more natural and require less willpower. They catch themselves using new language about who they are and feel momentum building as their tracking calendar fills up. Tim followed this plan to build his identity as a reader. By day 4, I noticed something weird, he told me. I actually wanted to read. It wasn't something I had to force myself to do anymore. It just felt like a natural part of my evening routine. This 7-day plan works because it builds each element of your motivated identity systematically. Instead of forcing massive change through willpower, it creates conditions for motivation to flow naturally, transforming motivation from something you generate into something that expresses who you truly are. Let's wrap up with the most important takeaway from everything we've covered. Motivation isn't something you find or force. It's someone you become. When you build your identity through small actions, the right words, and a supportive environment, you transform motivation from a struggle into something natural. Your next step is simple. Choose one small action aligned with your motivated identity. Perhaps reading one page, walking briefly, or writing a paragraph. Consistency will shift your self-perception. Like James, who went from avoiding books to reading daily, building his identity as a lifelong learner. His transformation started with just 5 minutes each morning,